Let's see, law of cosines homework. Here she is. The law of cosines, the one I always use, is c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosines of angle C. And one of these is unknown. Little c is a side, big C is an angle. And they want us to find side BC. This is what they want, side BC, which is actually going to be little a, because it's opposite of angle A. So I'm going to replace these with a's, and the other thing are just numbers. So little a squared must equal interesting, missing a length here. I am missing a length. Oh, this is not a law of cosines problem. Look at me. I forgot the sheet had both on it. Come on, come back here. This problem is actually law of sines. So 30 and 61 makes 91. The missing angle is 89 degrees. The sine of 89 compares to 8, and I want this little a right here, as the sine of 61 compares to little a. It's a law of cosine sheet. I'm sorry, I thought the first thing would be law of cosines. Anyways, we cross multiply. A times the sine of 89 is equal to 8 sines of 61. And then we divide. 8 sines of 61 is divided by the sine of 89. And then we push some magical buttons. 8 sines of 61 divided by the sine of 89 is 6.998. So if you're taking this to 2 digits, like I encourage you to do, it's 7.00. Really close to 7, basically 7. 7.00. All right, may the next one be law of cosines. And blasted it's not. It's still law of sines. Darn it. All right, so the sine of 62 compares to 28 as the sine of A compares to 25. We cross multiply. 28 sines of angle A's equals 25 sines of 62. We divide out the 28. And I know the sine of angle A is that. So the measure of angle A must be, I don't know why I put that parentheses there. Come here. Come here. I need you. Come here. There you go. Must be the arc sine of that big old statement. 25 sines of 62, sitting pretty over 28. And I push some buttons. So second sine brings up arc sine, 25 sines of 62. She is divided by 28. Notice how I use a calculator. You should probably pay attention. 52.03. That's a degree. You're finding an angle. May the next problem be law of cosines. Finally, there's one that is. I'm not doing 5. 6 is definitely law of cosines. Solve each triangle. So again, as I was trying to do earlier, c squared is a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosines of capital C for the angle. And I'm just going to do this right here. This would be little c. 17 squared equals 20 squared plus 30 squared minus 2 times 20 times 30 times the cosine of angle C. Now this stuff is going over here, The left-hand side is going to be 17 squared minus 20 squared minus 30 squared. Negative 1,011. I'm going to figure out what this is. All right, it should be negative 1,200, but we know I'm tired. Negative 2 times 20 times 30. It is. And now I'm going to play the isolation game. I'm going to counteract that understood multiplier with division. Divide both sides by negative 1,200. And I'm not going to take this any farther than knowing a negative over negative is positive. And here we have the cosine of angle C. Therefore, the measure of angle C is the arc cosine of 1,011 over 1,200. So anyways, arc cosine of 1,011 over 1,200 returns 32.59 degrees. And that was that angle. Now, law of cosines and law of sines go hand in hand. You do law of cosines, and then you switch over to law of sines. So the sine of 32.59 would compare to 17 as, and I'm going to do angle B, as the sine of B compares to 20. So I'm doing some cross multiplication, and I'm going to do some division. The sine of B is going to be 20 sines of 32.59. Divided by 17. Therefore, the measure of angle B is going to be the arc sine of all that stuff. All right, I'm just going to put that there. Second sine, 20 sines, 32.59. Oops. Over 17. And it's about 39.32 degrees. Now I know that every triangle in existence has 180 degrees. So 180 minus that guy minus that guy is about 108.08. You notice I'm off a little bit because of rounding, just a little bit. I think if I put those numbers together, I'd actually have an 09. So that's what we're going to go with. 108.09 degrees. Triangle solved. Finally got to use law of cosines. Let's see, what was the deal on these? I think these are just a solve situation. What do we have? We have two sides and an angle. Two sides and an angle. Let's do 9. I think law of 9 might be law of cosines. Triangle A, B, C. It's a bad looking C. Little c is 23. Angle A is 107 degrees. And B is 14. Yeah, this is the one I want to do. This one is law of cosines. And the deal here is solve. All missing pieces. Now, the reason I know it's law of cosines is because I don't have an angle pair relationship. I don't have an angle side relationship. So I'm going to do law of cosines. A squared must be the sum of the other two sides squared, 23 squared plus 14 squared, minus twice 23 times 14, times the cosine of 107 degrees. Now, all of this is a button pushing process. So here's c squared. C squared is about 913.29. Or sorry, a squared in this case. And the opposite of squaring is square rooting. Pay attention to how I use TI-84 and play along. A is about 30.22. Now that I've done law of cosines, I'm going to switch over to law of sines. Since I now have this relationship. So the sine of 107 compares to 30.22. And I'm going to go after angle C, as the sine of angle C compares to 23. And again, I'm going to do some cross multiplication. The sine of angle C is going to be 23 sines of 107. And I'm doing this in my head, so I'm also going to do some division, divided by 30.22. And therefore, angle C is going to be the arc sine of this thing, okay? So second sine, 23 sines of 107, and that is divided by 30.22 after I close the parentheses. $46.70. Now, there's 180 degrees in a triangle. I had 107 given. Gives me a 73. I take away the 46.7. I'm sitting at 26.3 degrees. 26.3. Ta-da! And then we had the last ones here, the area problems. Hopefully I got one of both. I'm going to do one of them with Hero's formula, and I'm going to do one of them with an area formula. So this one right here is going to be done using A equals 1/2 AB sines of angle C, where C is what we call the included or trapped angle. So I've got my pick of angles here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put these two numbers together. 29 plus 109 is what, 138 degrees? Seems legit. So I'm going to do 180 minus 138, and I'm going to get 42. There's my missing angle, 42 degrees. And I'm just going to pick a side. I'm going to go after little t, all right? So the sine of 42 compares to 16 as the sine of 109 compares to lowercase t. And the deal here would be to cross multiply. I was hoping I could drag that calculator out of the way so I could see what I had written. I just don't feel like writing it all down. I would have 16 sines of 109. It's all the constant writing that makes law of sines kind of not exciting. So figure out how to do it in your head. And there's t. T is about 22.61. Now, this little formula up here deals with situations like this, where you have a little angle C degrees in the middle. And that's what I have here. I have that. So area is going to be 1/2 of A, which is 16, or 22.61. It doesn't matter because you're multiplying, times the sine of 29 degrees. It doesn't matter what you picked. You could have found segment ST and done it over there at 109 degrees. It doesn't matter what you pick. It's going to work. So I got 0.5 for a half, 16. I'm just going to use that entire decimal. And then I got the sine of 21. 64.82 square kilometers. It's in kilometers. So that's 11, all right? I could do number 12 this way. Let me see if there's a slide after this, because I might. I could do number 12 the same way, but I'm not. I'm going to find the missing side, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Hero's formula, because I need to go over Hero's formula. So don't be alarmed at what I do. I know it's going to take longer. I'm trying to teach Hero's formula. So let's reset that page. Let's see, what do we have here? We have the sine of 23 compares to 13 as, I need an angle, so I'm going to go after R, as the sine of R compares to 10. Now, the sine of R would be 10 sines of 23 divided by that 13, which means that the measure of angle R is the arc sine of that stuff, okay? So the measure of angle R is going to be, I don't know, we won't know until I push some buttons. The arc sine of 10 sines of 23. Law of sines and cosines, they take some time. Divided by 13, which is 17.49. Now, the reason I did that was to get angle T. We're going to do the whole 180 minus stuff. I'm going to do 180 minus 23. Minus, oops, not times, minus that thing. I'm going to get 139.51. I'm doing all of this extra work so that I can use law of cosines and then Hero's formula, okay? That's why I'm doing this. I am not trying to ruin your life. I'm trying to teach Hero's formula. That's all I'm trying to do. So I'm going to find this side over here, which I think is lowercase t. I'm going to use law of sines again. The sine of 23 is to 13, as the sine of 139.51 is to lowercase t. And I'm going to cross multiply. T is going to be 13 sines of 139.51 over 13. No, over the sine of 23. And you'll see in a minute why I'm doing this. The reason I'm doing this is because there just wasn't a good example. It's 21.60. Some of you are like, it's stupid that he puts the 0 there. No, it's called proper rounding. You're stupid because you think I put a 0 there when I don't need one. So why did I do all this? I did this because I wanted to show you how to use Hero's formula. Hero's formula says area is the square root of S times S minus A times S minus B times S minus C, where S is going to be the semi-perimeter A plus B plus C over 2. So I'm going to find S first. S is going to be 13 plus 10 plus 21.6 all over 2. That's going to be up top, 23, 44.6, so 22.3. Let me check that math. 23 and 20 makes 43. 41.6. 44.6 cut in half, 22.3. Now A, B, and C are just your side lengths. So area is going to be the square root of 22.3 times 22.3 minus, let's do 13, times 22.3 minus, let's do 10, times 22.3 minus 21.60. If you want to clean this up a little bit, you can. Like when I go to the calculator just to save some time, I'm going to do some evaluation of numbers. I'm going to, because it's just quicker to do the math in my head than it is to type. 22.3 times the next guy is what? I say that, and here I am being all tired and stuff. Is it 8.7? No, it's 9.7. It's 8.7. I'm just retarded. It's 9.3. Probably shouldn't say that word on YouTube. Here we have 12.3. I don't know why that took me so long. And what do we have here? 0.7? 0.7 seems right. Maybe I should just push buttons. I might be a button pusher right now. Anyways, push them buttons there. You get around 42.26 square centimeters. And there you go. And that is the law of cosines worksheet. I hope you enjoyed. You probably didn't, but maybe you did.